worldly existence. Etasmin, this, yam yam, whatever, yonim, species, anubrajet, he may obtain, tasyam, in that, sa, he, labhate, achieves, nirvrittim, satisfaction, na, not, virajyate, in a verse. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. The satisfaction of the living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, is called illusion. A man in a higher position may feel dissatisfaction with the standard of life of a lower grade man. But the lower grade man is satisfied in that position because of the spell of Maya, the external energy. Maya has two phases of activities. One is called prakshepatmika and the other is called avaranatmika. Avaranatmika means covering and prakshepamika means pulling down. In any condition of life, the materialistic person or animal will be satisfied because his knowledge is covered by the influence of Maya. In the lower grade of or lower species of life, the development of consciousness is so poor that one cannot understand whether he is happy or distressed. This is called avaranatmika. Even a hog who lives by eating stool finds himself happy. Although a person in a higher mode of life sees that the hog is eating stool, how abominable that life is. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utpatakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhapitam Sham. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpataru Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patidanam Pavanevya Vaishnavevya Namo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivash Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nilachal Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Varabhadra Subhadra Jagannathaya Te Namo. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha today. Lord Kapila, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, in the fourth verse of this 30th chapter, is explaining about the adverse effect of too much material enjoyment, and he's talking about the adverse activities, adverse effect of fruitive activities. And when he's mentioning that, he's comparing all of us as Jantu. Jantu is often referred as animals, but here Srila Prabhupada is referring Jantu as the living entity, which is the correct meaning of Jantu. Any living entity under the control of the liking for fruitive activities, Janturvai Bhava Etasmin Yam Onim Anuvrajat. Tasyam Salavate Nivritimna Virajat. That means when he is under the fruitive activity enjoyment phase, he starts liking what he is doing. That is essentially what this verse is. This verse is saying is living entity in whatever species of life it appears, whether it's a human being or an animal or a bird or a fish or a quadruped or any one for that matter, he finds a way of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in that condition. So, in the confines of the species, he has his likings and dislikings. And that liking and disliking from a different species with a higher or lower may appear something very good or something very bad. And that understanding is provided by the Supreme, because there is there are two kinds of Maya which is with working to sway that understanding. What are those two kinds of Maya? As Srila Prabhupada is saying, avaranatmika. Avaranatmika means avaran. Avaran means covering. So there is a covering. So there is a covering which basically doesn't let you see what the truth is. And prakshat patmika means you are always under the sway of pulling down. You have that complex, you have that inherent complex. Many times a person or a group of person will be always doing something which to the public is not appearing right. But in that influence of that Maya, influ- due to the influence of the covering, the Avaranatmika angle, they will never be able to recognize that the challenge is there. And a lot of us go through that phase. Never ever we recognize our faults. And because we never recognize our faults, we keep on carrying the same thing, same thing, same thing, and we never introspect, because of which we never get over this. So let's discuss what are the Maya, what are the energies. Maya is nothing but an energy of the Lord, and this is a very beautiful explanation. This is taken from the Maya book by His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj. He has written a book entirely on Maya, which is called The Illusion Energy of the Lord. So if you look at the first 5 pages of that book, the Maya is divided into Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Yoga Maya is the internal potency of the Lord, and and Mother Subhadra is often referred as Yoga Maya because he initiates the union between us and the Supreme, and he is the internal, or she is the internal. He's referred as Yoga Maya. But here in this context, the Yoga Maya, the internal energy of the Lord, or the Swarup Sakti of the Lord, it's all good, it's all favorable, it's all Sachitanand. Sat means existential, which refers to the Sandhini angle of the energy, and Chit means knowledge, and it's functional, and it is referred to the Sambit angle of the energy. And Lord is always happy. He is Ananda. Nandi Ghosha. Nandi Ghosha means when Lord Jagannath is going on the chariot, his Ghosha, he's announcing Nandi, Ananda. So he's always happy. Whenever we pull the Lord into our hearts, there's always happiness. So this Satchit Anand are the three internal potencies of the Lord, which is part of the Yoga Maya. And the topic which we're going to focus is the subsection under another aspect of Maya, which is called Mahamaya, or the external energy. Externally, we are jivas, we are spirit souls, and we have uh, we have received whatever energy based on our species, whether it's a human being or a hog or a dog or a cat or whatever. And all of them have these two sub kinds, avaranatmika. That means there is a covering of the knowledge. And then we're also influenced by prakshepatmika. That means it basically fills us with misconception that we are what we are not supposed to be. So, and then Gunamaya which is a different topic, which were touched in the prior cantos, is comprised of Pradhan and Prakriti, which is non-manifested and manifested. So, with that Avaranatmika and Prakshepatmika, Avaranatmika means covering, and Prakshepatmika means it basically fills the conditioned soul with illusion. There is one thing which is has to be understood by all of us, that Lord gives us knowledge. Lord mentions in chapter 15.15 that he is seated in everyone's heart, and from him, and he says, from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Our sheer knowledge is by virtue of Lord's disposition. If Lord doesn't dispose us to procure energy, we will not have energy. When Lord wants us to forget, we will forget. When Lord wants us not to be knowledgeable, we will not be knowledgeable. So in chapter 15.15, that sweet verse, Lord tells that the knowledge, the forgetfulness, all comes from him. So this process of not understanding something or thinking that we are right but we are not is actually coming from the Lord. We are not competent enough in our sadhana, because of which Lord is not making us capable enough to recognize that we can understand the difference between right or wrong. And that is because if you go subtle, a little deeper, the two kinds of Maya, the two kinds of Guna Maya, Lord is referring, which Srila Prabhupada is so beautifully translating, is actually covering all of us. And this covering and thinking that what we are not, Prakshet Matmika, is working against us, because when we are not calm, when we are not good in our sadhana, when we were angry, when we are uh, when we are too much power hankering, Lord provides you. Lord is very Lord is Lord provides the desire. Lord okays the desire of the devotees. If you are so much into this activity of hankering onto something or enjoying sense gratification, Lord gives you that free will. And because of that free will, if you eat like a hog, Lord will probably give us the sanction to become a hog in our lives. If we try to sort of not very control in our dress sense, Lord will allow us to do in our subsequent lives. So Lord is very dear, Lord is very merciful, and because of our fruitive desires, which Kapiladev is referring to his mother, that there are adverse effect of this fruitive desires. Having too much desire for something, whether it is money or position or something which makes us exciting and makes us sad. Either way, it is not good for our sadhana. A devotee is a gentleman, as Srila Prabhupada says, and he always accepts and moves on. And when he sees that things are not going, he has tried his best. He takes a back seat and let Lord takes over. And Lord is very merciful, and he comes and he does exactly what the devotee wants, because he's not concerned about uh, destroying so many things. So he takes a back seat. So here, Lord is saying, because of this covering, because of this pulling down means thinking what we are not, Prakshet Matpika. So here, Lord Prabhupada is giving the example of Indra. Actually, he's indirectly giving the example of Indra. Indra was so much attached to his to the fruitive activities, to the sense of enjoyment, that he was once cursed to become a hog. So he took the birth of a hog, and when he started having a life, he had piglets, he had piglet wives, piglet kids. He started enjoying, and the heaven, the seat, or was empty for so long, and Narad Muni recognized that there is no one who is leading or rather ruling, and it's getting into uncharted territory. So he came and requested Indra, who was a hog, who was enjoying with his big wives, that please come back. And Indra at the time is not interested to go to heaven, because he is so much in under the influence of the fruitive activities in that species, that the Avaranatmika Maya and Prakshatmatmika Maya is covering. And because of these two coverings, Indra is not coming out. And from a different perspective, from Narad Muni's perspective, he is doing abominable activity. But Indra doesn't know that he is doing abominable activities. So when Lord's mercy is not there, we will lose memory, we will lose intelligence, we'll behave as if we know everything. But actually, you mean nothing when it comes to the overall perspective of things. You will only be able to think in your own way, and you will never think the perspective of the common mass. The other thing which I would like to speak a little bit about, you might have heard about a camel. A camel will be going, he will be very thirsty, he will be very hungry, he will be cutting across the thorns, and he will be eating thorns. And when the camel eats the thorns, there is blood which comes out of his tongue from his mouth. But camel doesn't understand. Doesn't it mean that when blood comes out, camel is feeling hurt? Feeling Camel is feeling hurt. Camel is having a bit of a tortuous situation. But camel doesn't stop there. He eats and eats and eats, and his mouth is full of blood. And he doesn't, because the Avaranatmika Maya and Prakshitmatmika Maya is covering, and he is not under the influence of the knowledge. A different species like us, which is who are different from camel in intelligence, in our false ego, in our everything, when it looks at the influence of Maya. So because of the higher and lower species of life, the intelligence differs. And because of the intelligence, the lower species gets into a comfort zone. And that comfort zone, he feels that he is doing what he is doing. He's doing right, which is actually, from a different perspective, is wrong. And that Kapilamuni, Kapiladev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is speaking to his mother, that when we are too much into fruitive activities, we get so much of covering under the influence of this illusory energy of the Lord, that this real knowledge and real intelligence is gone. And we start uh, thinking that what we are doing is right. So when Lord is not merciful enough, he takes away remembrance, he takes away knowledge, and he influences and injects forgetfulness. And that is why some of the worst decisions which this universe has seen, whether it is the spiritual platform or in this material platform, whether it is the world war or some of the mishaps which has happened, or some of the battles which are created, is all because the first thing is Lord has taken away the knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness from matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. That means he takes away these things. So the first thing which, when we are in when we recognize that we are in a bad phase of our life and we are not doing as good as we were doing, we should recognize that Lord is starting to take those things away, and Lord will take it away. Make no mistake. If he sees ahankar, if he sees, Lord will take all these things away, because you're too much into fruitive activities, you're too much into fruitive position hankering. Lord will take it away. He says it very brilliantly in 15.15. And when Lord takes it away, we are under the covering. And so a child, when a car is moving, he thinks car is moving because of machinery. He doesn't understand that the car is moving because of the driver. Driver is moving the car. So he sometimes wants to drive, but he doesn't know how to drive, because he has this misconception that car is run by the machine, not by the driver. There is a personalization, and that personalization, once we miss, we will never recognize our fault, and we'll keep on arguing and arguing and arguing. And the covering will never. Maya, Maya apaharta jnanam. That means our jnana, who are the, in the seventh chapter, Lord explains so beautifully that when knowledge is stolen by illusion, then those kind of people, they can never surrender unto me, because they understand that whatever is happening to them, whatever good or bad is happening to them, is because of their karma, is not because of the sanction of the Lord, because the knowledge is stolen by illusion. Maya apharata jnana, Lord says. And Lord talks about uh, this intelligence in so many uh, other chapters, which is reflecting what Kapil Dev is saying here. He talks about this Prakriti is under my control as well. This entire nature is under my control, Maya Dakshina Prakriti. And then he also talks about Prakriti Kriyamanani, because when a spirit soul is bewildered by the influence of false ego, he thinks that he is the doer of all activities. Prakriti Kriyamanani, Gunai Karmani Sarvasa. He thinks that he is uh, doing it because he's under the influence of the material nature. And because of the covering, like a camel, like the hog in this example, like a child in this example, he thinks that he is the doer. And and these activities, this devotional service, this activity of pulling the Lord into our hearts, or doing everything related to the Lord. If you see the process, the sequence of activities, whether the sequence of Lord's Leelas in the form of Snan Yatra, he thinks, the Lord says that I am also a human being. I lead the life of a human being. You have given me enough love, and I'm reciprocating by falling sick. So much interaction, so much of devotion. And then Lord doesn't give Lord darshan. Lord engages his devotees, which are of a lower strata, to give medicinal things, exactly like a human being. And Lord comes back painted in Navayovan, very humanly. And then Lord goes on a yatra, and then he stays with his friends, where he's expressing that the love for his devotees is second to none. And he plays, and then his wife, I think today is probably Hera Panchami, when today or tomorrow, we have to look at the calendar, when this beautiful envy in the mother Lakshmi is propping up, which happens with husband wives. And that sweet pastime was explained last Sunday. And Lakshmi ji goes and breaks the chariot, and then Lakshmi ji recognizes. that she has done a fault and she feels remorse, and she's starting to welcome Lord back, and that welcoming Lord back into Dwarka, or the place of opulence, from where he is going to, because if he can't play all the 365 days, because he has to rule this universe from his Sudharma headquarters, where he is the king, and and then he comes back and he gives the opulent darshan, Aishwarya darshan in Sunavesh, and this all this process, this sequencing of this process is laid out since hundreds and thousands of years ago, and this process rekindles that love for the Lord, and it clears all the illusory effects, the avaranatmika and prakshapatmika, the gunamaya, the two gunamayas, because of which we think what we are not, and also it it covers the knowledge, and the covering of the knowledge is not because we are incompetent, it is because we do not have the mercy of the Lord. Competence and incompetence can be grown by hard work, by putting in more hours, but at the end of the day, if we do not have some of these Hiranyakashipus, Hiranyakshas, they're very competent actually. They're very strong. It's unthinkable to compare them with any common people like us. Ravana was very competent. Ravana was, but they did not have the mercy of the Lord, and that caused their downfall at the end, because they were covered with the illusory energy of the Lord. It is because of the devotees they thrived for long, because devotees are very merciful, and eventually they had to be taught a lesson, and Lord comes out to teach them a lesson, and Lord takes some very unique matters, unique paths to take them. So Kapil Dev is saying the living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, he finds a particular type of satisfaction. Even if he is doing something bad or good, he's having some satisfaction. Bad, worse, beating Prahlad, he finds that satisfaction. And he's never adverse to being situated in that condition, which a different species. That's why we have quality assurance. That's why when somebody else looks at the thing, he can give his opinion properly. That's why code walkthroughs are always done with 2 or 3 other people in play, so that what the fault you can find in your code is found by some other. So this beautiful subject matter, and for all of that we need Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, without which we will never be able to see our fault, and we'll keep on doing whatever we are doing. So with that, I would like to end here. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees, are you all there?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's end here, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So let's end here by chanting the glorification of Nrsimhadev. Jai Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Sri Nrsimha, Jai Jai Sri Nrsimha, Praladesu Jai Padma Mukha Paradma Vringam, Ugram Viram Mahavishnu Jalantam Sarvatomukam, Nrishingam Vishnam Bhadram Mrityu Namamyam. Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. Let's all chant 3 times. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama.
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Krishna.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
So
Rama.
let's offer humble prayers at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas. Vancha
Vancha
kalpatarubhascha kripa
kalpatarubhasya
sindhu
kripa
vayevacha
sindhu bhavecha.
patitanam
Patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo बोल,
नमो नमः।
वैष्णव
वैष्णव
बोल,
वृंद की जय।
Yeah.
वैष्णव की
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
की
श्रील
जय।
प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर
जय।
प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि
हरि
बोल।
हरि हरि बोल। थैंक यू।